I am the oldest, as Tom just said, of one of Mr. Young's former students that made a decision to get into music education and to become a band director. And of course, it would not have happened because of him and that wonderful dream that I had when he allowed me to take band in the high school. And I wanted it so much that I had to walk from the middle school, well, at that particular time it was the high school 9th and 10th grade, and Mr. Pruitt, I would come in late from time to time, sometimes bad weather, would take the time to get me caught up with things that I've missed, and I really appreciate that. I was just thinking, as a former student, some of my fondest memories are those of the memories we shared, and many of you in this room, the thrill of victories and the occasional agony of defeat. There weren't many of those. But another funny thing, and I don't know if Margaret remembers, occasionally Henry Thomas would take her hostage, and we would all pretend like we were Mr. Young, and we'd say, listen, girl, if you tell your daddy, we're going to take care of him. And this came out of Henry Thomas's mouth. I was one that said, Henry, I don't have anything to do with that. And Henry would occasionally be upset because of the tongue lashing that Mr. Young might occasionally give him. Another time that I can remember is when we would come down the hill of the valley. And some of you young folks don't know what we're talking about, but the hill of the valley is what made us strong. Not going down the hill without slipping, of course, that was always a possibility, but a cold, chill winter night or fall evening in October, many of the times now, we have parents and we have band members and fans that are with us all the time, but that hill was a sacred time in which we would come down. And I can remember Mr. Young giving the incredible speeches that he gave, but he would always say, well, y'all, this is it. I've done all I could do. Right now it's up to y'all. Seniors have given us a wonderful ride, and we appreciate that. If the judges don't like what they see, then that's just too bad. We'll try it again next year. A quick warm-up, the hush of the crowd, for everyone in the stadium knew that the Walterboro Band of Blue was there, and we were going to give it a run for the money. I was never fortunate to be in a band that won state championships, but you might say that those feelings linger on. And as I am a band director in Hampton, I've been many places that I've been, I've taken those memories with me, and it certainly will be lasting influences for a lifetime. Another one of those memories that we all remember probably is when occasionally Mr. Young would lose his contact lenses. You know, back then they were expensive and you couldn't throw them away, and he would have the whole band looking for a contact lens on the field. And I'll never forget those wonderful feelings. Mr. Young had a successful vision and a dream for the Walterboro Band program. He made it happen through so many hardships and personal sacrifices. Through it all, he persevered, built a big band, bad blue band program, raised two wonderful kids, adopted thousands of others like me and you. He served his community well, the city, the county, the state of South Carolina. Yes, as Tommy said, I'm in an elite group. And it's not because I'm a former student of band directors. That is an elite group. And not because I'm a former student. That itself is an elite group. It's not because I'm an admirer of him and will always be. That is an elite group. We've all been fans of him and the band, and that doesn't make it an elite group. He's a friend, and he has many friends. That doesn't make it an elite group. But the one that sticks out way above any and everything else is Mr. Young has continued to let me be a dreamer and an inspirer. Thank you, sir, for life, these lasting influences for eternity. But most importantly, thank you for being the pebble in the pond for us all.
Well, first let me say, for all of those who got to speak tonight, I'm a little jealous because, well, I don't have anything prepared because Tommy let me know I was going to be up here talking about an hour and a half ago. So you have to bear with me if I'm just going to kind of wing it for a little bit. But let me just say, this is hard, and I don't mean getting up here and talking about Bill Young. I think everybody in this room could find plenty of things to say about Bill Young, and so that's not a big issue. But let me just say, now that I've had a chance to be on this side of it, the job he does is hard. It is not an easy job, and a lot of students don't necessarily get to see that side of it. But there's a lot that goes into everything that you see out there on the field, that you hear in a concert, and it is not an easy task by any means. As Mr. Finnegan pointed out there, basically there are only three of us that that have gone into this profession. Let me tell you that there's been a lot more who have tried. I can say that I think the reason that the three of us have been successful is, well, we're probably the only three people in this room as stubborn as this gentleman sitting right down here. You have to be. To do something at this level, you have to be. You have to want it so much because you have to ask so much of yourself, so much of your family. And then on top of that, you have to convince all of these students to buy into all of these things. And it is just an amazing, amazing thing. Not only is it hard, but I can't imagine doing it as long as he has at the level that he has. That is just an incredible thing. I'm finishing up currently my third year of being a band director. And it's to give you an idea of how long he's been at it. When he was in my position, finishing up his third year, I wasn't even born yet. He's just finishing his career now. This has been, he's been at it for quite a long time, and it is an amazing, amazing feat in itself just to do that. The one thing I can say above all else is, just the attitude he instills in every student that he's taught. And it's the attitude that doing the minimum is never acceptable. You can always do more. Well, next year we're going to, we finished second this year. Next year we're going to win that state title. Well, we won that state title this year. Well, next year we're going to win it by a bigger margin. There was never a line in the sand drawn where that's the end. Okay, you've done everything. You can always go do more. You can always go do better. And that's something that I carry with me every day. And I think every person who has ever been a member of this band can say that. No matter what you're doing, you do it to a higher standard because you were a part of this band. You cannot go through being in this band and not demand more of yourself in everything that you do. And I'm very proud of the fact that everything that I do to the best of my abilities. And a lot of it has to do with this gentleman right here. Because he never accepted the minimum. You can always do more. I can say that, especially listening to those top 11 quotes that we saw in the video that, Mr. Young has had, I was thinking about it while they were going through that list. I can honestly say out of that list, I've used at least 9 of them within the last 2 months. So, we've heard them quite a lot, but, when you find something that works that well, you got to keep using it. So, let me say that for for the younger people here in the audience tonight, you've heard a lot of the older members come up here and talk about how you've gotten easy with the mark time. Well, let me say that, you don't have to take that, because physically what you have to do on a marching band field now is so light years ahead of anything that, we've ever seen before on a field. I mean, it is so incredibly physically demanding and just, incredibly visual. So you don't have to take that from any old man. But speaking of these changes, you've seen tonight the difference between, what band was like in, the 1970s versus what it is even today. And it is so vastly different, and it changes. It's one of those things that you get good at the game, and then they suddenly change all the rules of the game for you. And there have been many directors who have had success, and then when the times change and the rules of the game change and the standards become different, they falter because they can't adjust. Well, we've seen tonight from the video, from everybody that speak, that one of the most incredible things he's done is he's always been able to adjust. He's always been able to, rise to that standard. And a lot of it, like I said before, you can't take the minimum. You don't slide by. If you're going to do something, you do it well. You do it to the best of your abilities. And certainly, being a band director now, I can say that to be on that standard for so long, to always be able to adjust to that standard, is just an incredibly amazing feat on its own. And I'm very, very proud to be a part of this historic program. I can tell you, and I believe Irvin can do the same, that we've been, through a lot of different programs throughout the state and seen a lot of what is going on. And there are very, very, very few places in this state that have the kind of history that we have here. There are very few places where, they even pay attention to the band on a Friday night. I can say that I've sat through football games with my own band out on that field, and we go out there on halftime, and and the people talking in the stands are louder than the playing that's going on the field. You'll never see that here. Never. Because he's made it such an incredible thing and such an incredible experience that that everybody wants to be a part of it, even if the only part they can play is just sitting there and listening. Just incredible job and career that he has done here. I can say that he still follows up on all of his students. I found it amazing that right when I got here, they had all these slides playing up here, and they were showing all these pictures of all these students. And every single student that flashed up there, he could tell me your name. He knew who all of them were. He remembers all of these things. I can say that certainly in the last several months, I've beat on the stand a lot, getting ready for concerts and different things like that. Well, that baton that was in my hand, while I'm beating on the stand, it was a gift from Mr. Bill Young. That he got to me when I just got out of college and got my first job. These guys check up on me, constantly, and still to this day, they won't let me. I can't get by on the minimum. Got to do more. Got to do more. So I'm gonna carry that, forever and ever. I'm very proud to say that of these 9 state championships, I had the privilege of being a part of 3 of them. And I can say that those 3 medals are hanging on my wall at home, right beside my door, so that every time I walk out of my door in the morning to go teach my kids, I can know that I've got to do more. I've got to raise to a higher standard. There's always more you can do. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for that. We got a little bit more. Mr. Young? I didn't know how I was going to handle this. I may have to ask my wife to help me read this, I don't know. But I'm going to try. Margaret, I'll take a cue from you. I'm going to read my letter to Bill. That's in the book. And it says, Bill, well, you did it. You put in your time and you made it to the end.